Hey everybody, welcome back to Chicago Reacts. My name is Michael. I'm an actor here in the city of Chicago, and I'm joined by the ever brilliant, the always talented, the one, the only.
It's Zach, also an actor here in the city of Chicago, soon to be worldwide. Stay tuned. Michael and I got some big news coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with one of my nearest and dearest creators on this platform. Internet historian, aka Incognito mode in this case.
Yes.
This one is a short but sweet one that thing that I'm passionate about: aliens, UFOs. It's the Roswell incident. It's an older one. It's a shorter one. Kind of niche, but if you enjoy it, be sure to let us know by hitting the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so. And we are also, if you're watching this video within the first 2 to 3 hours of it being published, we are live on Twitch literally right now. So come join us there.
That's it.
Jump in.
The following is satire and journalistic in nature.
Oh,
All
yeah,
images and media have been sourced from public record and okay, we don't have to read the whole thing.
Mr. Karen. Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to stop. I thought that's what that was.
No.
I was just trying to do the pre-video warning. That's all.
All right. Well, here, wait.
Casablanca.
This video meets the requirements legal for legal fair use.
YouTube's good. No citation here in the Constitution's infringements under the Digital Millennium Copyright.
There you go. You learned
Millennium
something
Copyright
today.
Act. Not the Millennial Copyright Act. The following is satire and journalistic in nature. All images and media have been sourced from public record. Every special care has been taken to censor names, faces, specific locations, records, and personal information for those featured to protect their privacy. Names of individuals mentioned in this video meet the criteria of public figures. Care has still been taken to keep any other information about these individuals private.
There you go. And within 1 second time span, we learned a lot.
We did. I'm glad. I can help.
This evening, we're going to explore the story that almost everyone gets wrong. There are hundreds of feature-length documentaries on the subject, and all of them are a waste of your time, because this is the true story of the Roswell incident. The story begins before...
Actually, wait, what do you know about Roswell? Real quick.
Roswell, New Mexico, 1964, 47. Yep. I clearly know a lot. I know that there's a thing about aliens, and
yes,
that's really all I know.
Yeah,
I just know the name.
Yes, so many rumors around this particular event. A lot of people believe it's a particular government cover-up to cover up a lot of the things that were going on in the world at the time. A lot of post-World War II stuff that they were trying to distract the public eye from. So,
smoke and mirrors.
The crash in 1947. It begins with a scientist, Professor Maurice Ewing, who is helping the US military develop new weapons and tools in the Second World War. So he discovers one thing, and he invents another. His specialization is in oceanography, important to the military because they want to be able to detect submarines in local waters and develop more sophisticated versions of their own. The discovery is the sound channel. I'll explain why this is important, just stay with me. It turns out that there's this spot at about 1,000 feet deep in the ocean where the salinity, temperature, and density of the water prevent sound waves from being able to easily carry either up or down. So instead, they travel much further horizontally without dissipating. Why is this important or interesting? Well, it means that large disturbances underwater at this precise depth can be heard for thousands of miles away if using the right equipment. So Maurice starts thinking about the practical applications, and he comes up with an invention. He calls it a SOFAR sphere. Here's an example of how it works.
AKA boobs. He does. Come on, internet. This was internet historian in his older days as well, right? But so like you can it's very it's more educational than it is his normal animated podcast, right?
Fighting the Japanese over the Pacific Ocean. You're momentarily distracted and your plane goes down. Well, now you're bobbing around in the middle of the ocean and nobody knows where you are. What do? Well, you reach into your survival kit and drop a SOFAR sphere. Think of it like a pocket-sized depth charge, except without the explosives. It has no moving parts, no electronics. Instead, it's very precisely calibrated so that when it sinks to 1,000 feet, it implodes. The sound waves carry a couple of thousand miles to the shoreline, where they've installed a bunch of underwater microphones. Then, using some basic trigonometry, you can compare the time it takes for the sound to hit one mic from another to triangulate where the sound came from. And like that, you suddenly know where your downed pilot is.
Is amazing.
It's incredible.
So I listened to this podcast about the guy who helped invent computer modeling for like how things drift across the surface of oceans, which help rescue teams predict like if this size boat capsized, how fast will it drift based on currents and wind speed and stuff like that. And it's fascinating that was in like that was decades after this.
Right.
And I'm really interested to see what happens with this technology, because this seems like, if it worked, something every vessel would have to have on it, because it would make sense to have like an SOS system with a certain frequency that like it would be like an international thing. I mean, international cargo ships and things would have these on them that would like ping to different countries, and you would be able to pinpoint like roughly where it went down, because that would at least give you like, well, at this point this thing went off. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's
I even wonder like how else that this particular channel, if you will, could be used. Like it could even be used as like an underground secret secret information channel. Like where if you have the right frequency and you know where like certain places at this depth is, you could like leave hidden messages almost for people, or like.
But I also wonder if it would just get too. Like, at what point does it get too noisy? Does it get too crowded? Yeah, which I feel like is why you'd have to have it used for just one purpose,
particular specific purpose. Yeah,
that's wild. Okay, we got to see where this goes.
But before it was able to be used, the war ended and the device was shelved. Although Professor Ewing was kept on the military payroll because a whole new conflict was ramping up. The Cold War. The concern here was missiles.
I'm so sad that tech still seems super useful.
Right. Like just because it was made with the, I mean, like even going back to
I guess I guess maybe GPS would render it not necessary.
But like even remember, wasn't like penicillin like invented as like a different type of medication, and then they found out that actually turns out that this is a really good antibacterial.
Yeah.
So it's like things are developed all the time for one particular purpose,
and it takes years for them to be discovered as stuff. Like, this is actually helpful for this thing.
Yeah. It seems like a very it seems very timeless to me as well.
Yeah.
Like that there would always be a use for it, especially while our knowledge and understanding of like the oceans is so minimal. Like this is like as good as technology gets, basically. Like,
and nuclear weapons. So attention shifted from the ocean to the atmosphere. So he thinks, wait a minute, if there's a sound channel in the ocean, maybe there's one in the sky too. Turns out there is, at 155,000 feet.
What?
So, if there's a large
so
sound,
cool.
let's say a nuclear explosion in Russia, you should be able to hear that all the way in the United States if you have a bunch of microphones set up at this height. That means you know the exact location, time, and potential power of every single above-ground nuclear test being conducted by your enemy, well before you had anything like satellite technology. They call
that is freaking nuts.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is nuts.
Which means you have to have planes flying at that altitude constantly.
That just act as like,
three of them really.
Yeah, triangulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked.
This Project Mogul. It was a series of high-altitude weather balloons with sensitive microphones attached. In 1947, one of them fell from the sky and crashed down in a rancher's backyard. And some people with large imaginations said it was aliens.
So,
the military said it was a weather balloon.
weather balloons, not they didn't fly planes. Yeah. That makes more
Yes.
sense.
Weather balloons are a very common explanation for particular UFO sightings around.
Well, and it also makes sense because you could like calibrate the balloon to sit at that height, to
Right.
be like
Right.
buoyant at that height.
Right. And I guess yeah, the visibility of it would even be because it is so far away, and then because it's like it's kind of going almost with the wind, and then watching it come, it probably would move at very uh, unnatural looking speeds and stuff like that, right? Like it would almost look like it's hovering, and
Yeah.
because it moves with the wind, it's different than a plane moving in one particular straight direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
balloon. Then there were some conflicting reports, and people said it was a cover-up. Well, of course there was. It sure beats having the Russians find out about this technology. In the following decades, better ways of detecting nuclear tests were invented, primarily seismographers, and the sound channel fell out of use. In 1992, following the fall of the Berlin Wall, all of this information became declassified, and since it has been totally available for the public to read. And that is the story of Roswell. No aliens, just a weather balloon, and a bunch of microphones. Good night. By the way, you can find the longer version of the story from a lecture by Dr. Richard Muller from UC Berkeley. He does a really interesting lecture series that you can still find online, and the link will be in the description.
That's a nice looking graph right there.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Man. Wow.
That was really cool.
I feel like, yes, and there comes a certain point where once an alternative explanation for something comes up and it picks up enough wind and it becomes more interesting.
Yeah. Well, it tickles that idea of there has to be something else out there.
Right.
So to believe that it could be alien technology, or I don't know, just like our brains love creating stories for something. So if we see something that we can't explain, we will come up with what we think is a good conclusion.
Exactly.
Whether that's aliens or weather balloons.
It's just way more interesting, you know. And especially based on what the government would have been able to share at the time, it makes sense why everybody would also jump to this sense of paranoia, and then it becomes almost like this self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, if the government's not going to tell us anything about it or claim that it's something, it's got to be aliens. Like they're covering it up for a reason, right?
And we're also looking at like the beginning of this explosion in technological advancements that humanity have never really seen before.
Yep.
Where like we live in an age where it's like, oh, I'm sure there are things out there that I wouldn't understand that I didn't realize were a thing.
Yes.
Because things evolve so fast. Like I actually was cleaning my office the other day and I found like my old iPhone 6, I think.
Okay.
Or 4 maybe. And I was like, this thing looks so old. And it's only like 8 years old. Like it's not even, maybe it's less than that. It might be 5 years old, but it looks ancient.
Yeah.
And you know, that's nothing compared to like a time where things didn't change that often. You're just like the advancements were still slower.
Almost, but like the advancements I feel like just hit so much harder, right?
Yeah.
Because they were exponential in growth. So when you would experience something that was just so radically different, I mean, it was like, whoa, this changes the whole way life is perceived. And now versus like, the iPhones now look essentially identical year to year. But then
well, I just think it's interesting that like, I think if you're seeing something that you can't explain, that like it's technology that you can't really fathom exists, then it's like, oh, you don't think humanity has the capability to create something like that, then you're going to go, this must be aliens. This must be
This
some
must be
other
aliens.
like more advanced technology. So
Mm.
yeah, anyway, I just think it's wild. Love jumping in with incognito mode. Thank you so much. That was really fun. Hey, if you're liking these videos, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else, and leave a comment in that comment section down below. What evidence have you seen of alien life out there?
Yes.
We want to know. With that said, we'll see you next time.
On Chicago React.